Toodles. I think we're going to be live here. So I just wanted to run through quickly. Hey, Mercer, how's it going? An article that a few people have sent me, Blue Apple sent me. Hopefully I'm not singling people out. I'm probably going to forget a few people. And also, What I Don't Know Is Staggering also sent to me. No, a third person did too. I'm sorry. Anyways, my apologies if I think Hitters may have sent me something about that as well. So let's just run through the article together and see what it's about. I'll just pull it up here. How you doing, Mercer? Okay. Source: Halifax police held back response to mass murder. And I guess this was published yesterday. And I researched this Halifax Examiner. Seems to be a reputable source. So I'm going to take, and they do put a disclaimer in it, so I'm going to take it on face value. Halifax police, how's it going, Loretta? I smell smoke weed like it's air. Camo, Masso, what's going on? Halifax police held back response to mass murder. Interesting article out of the Halifax Examiner, and wanted to go through it, just have it on the record. Thank you for telling me I'm live. I appreciate that. Google, you can't inform people though when you delete their comments. Whatever. On Sunday morning, have you guys read this article yet? On Sunday morning, April 19th, the Halifax Regional Police was alerted that a gunman, GW being Gabriel Wardman, was heading towards the Halifax Regional Municipality in a lookalike RCMP cruiser and was heavily armed. During those warnings, HRP denied a request from its emergency response team that additional members be called in. Later in the morning, HRP issued orders to its members not to shoot the gunman, but to prevent him from entering the Halifax Regional Municipality. Those allegations made by a person who purports to be a member of the Halifax Regional Police. That person contacted the Halifax Examiner out of what they said was frustration with the HRP. Thank you for good police officers stepping forward. Response as the mass shooting was unfolding. We have not been able to verify the identity of the informant, but the information the informant relayed suggests that the person is credible. I like when people will do their due diligence and try to find out if things and sources are true, because these unnamed sources is a very common tactic these days. Just, somebody says something. Well, that's great. Anybody can write that. For instance, the person provided HRP case number that appears to be valid, and other information provided appears to be consistent with HRP procedures. So this sounds like they know what they're talking about. We provided some details, some of the details the informant provided to us to HRP Police Chief Dan Kinsella, and gave him a detailed list of questions and otherwise asked for comment. The complete response came back from the HRP Public Information Officer, John McLeod. Quote, as this is an ongoing investigation led by the RCMP, it would be inappropriate for us to comment on the specifics of us. Please contact them directly for information in relation to this incident. Okay, so passing the buck, got to have that, right? Howdy, Deborah. What's going on? Shay's in the house. HRP did not say the information provided to the examiner was incorrect or otherwise refute it. So they didn't dispute what this person was saying. Interesting. Here's the information given to the examiner. At 7:23, the RCMP informed HRP that Wortman was in a look-alike police crew vehicle. Quote, Gabriel Wortman has an RCMP vehicle, a Taurus, complete with light decals, and has 28 Bravo 11 on the vehicle. He has also he also has an RCMP uniform. He has weapons stored on location in Masstown, as well as Portland Street, and has purchased lots of ammo. More details to come. This is interesting. RCMP. But at the time is 7:23 in the morning, right? You know, they knew about this months in advance, but anyways, whatever. So they knew that it was Gabriel Wortman right away. Why are they waiting till 7:30 in the morning when they've actually gone to Wortman's father's house already at 2 hours earlier? And then won't inform the public for another 2 hours after this, 9:30, I believe, 10 o'clock, close to 10 o'clock before they inform people Gabriel Wortman. That was almost an hour after the RCMP was told by GW's common law spouse that GW was driving such a vehicle. That part is, to the best of my knowledge, not correct. Because she didn't tell them at 6:30 in the morning. She told them, what did they say? 7 or 8 in the morning is what they're saying to the public. It was also an hour and a half before the RCMP tweeted out, just as I was saying, GW's name and photo. So they withheld all of this information from everybody, but were willing to tell the Halifax Regional Police. And the RCMP notification to the HRP that GW was driving a lookalike police cruiser was made almost 3 hours before the RCMP notified the public of that fact via Twitter. Interesting. But they knew about all this right on the onset. I can't stress that enough. They found the bodies right away. They knew it was Gabriel Wortman. They sealed down the area. He got out. They've really bungled this one badly. One of the examiner's questions to Kinsella was, why wasn't the information immediately conveyed to the public? At 7:48, the HRP emergency response team requested additional ERT members to be called in. That request was denied. We asked Kinsella, can you explain? Oh, these guys are good. I think I'm going to pay the $10 just to subscribe to them. Support good digging, you know? Yes, he stockpiled Mercer. I mean, see, they know even where he's got the guns. They know where he's got the guns and the ammunition. But here they're saying that, where are they getting that information from? Are they getting this information from the girlfriend? Because the girlfriend apparently doesn't even come into the picture until later. We asked Kinsella, can you explain who denied that request and why was it denied? Do you think that the HRP members or general public may have been put at greater risk because the request was denied? At 10:26, HRP issued an order to its members to not travel past the airport, which is the approximate boundary of HRP service. So they were only allowed to operate within their jurisdiction. We asked Kinsella, did the RCMP request assistance that might have necessitated leaving HRM or the service area of HRM, Halifax Regional Municipality? If so, Why wasn't that allowed? Also, what was the operational basis for the decision to order HRP members not to travel further than the airport? At 10:56, HRP issued an order not to shoot Gabriel Wortman, but his vehicle was to be prevented from entering the Halifax Regional Municipality. We asked Kinsella. So this is almost what we're getting really close to his death here. So he was going to Halifax, and I have a theory that he was going to go and pick up this extra car, the extra police car that he had sitting at the dental clinic, in the back of the dental clinic. So I think he was taking the gray Mazda, going to Halifax, and going to change cars. Probably a car not in his name, I would think, if we ran that license plate. And that license plate, actually, I think somewhere I have a picture of. We asked, they got that car out of there very quickly. We asked Kinsella, why would members be instructed not to shoot a person known to have killed multiple victims? How would officers stop Wortman's vehicle without shooting at him? We additionally asked Kinsella if he has instituted institutional review of HRP's policies to the events of that morning, and if he had any comments concerning these incidents. If Kinsella responds, we will update the post. What are your thoughts? Interesting that they are dropping details here that are contrary, once again, and it's not verified. It's not verified because, you know, we don't have a name, but I mean, this is a policeman who is crossing the thin blue line, right? So he has courage. I give him a gold star for that. And he's telling us certain things in here for sure that is contrary to what the RCMP is telling us. They tell us that the girlfriend does not. What time did Gabriel Wortman's girlfriend come out of the woods? See if we can find this. I'm pretty sure it's not, they say 7 or 8 o'clock. They're very vague about it. This is an older article. Let's see if we can find something more current. How's it going, Karen? Timeline. Is this the most current one, probably? A detailed timeline. Very detailed, with how many ever times they tell us. Very few. 10:26. Okay. 10:35, 6:29. He is seen on the video. Okay, blah, blah, blah. 8:09, RCMP say that the situation involves an active shooter. Oh, now they've pushed down around the same time this common law spouse comes out of hiding and calls 911. What time is that? 6:30. So 6:30, they're saying. And again, this is not a specific time. They just say around this time, right? But here they are informing them at 7:23. But I'd heard 7 or 8 was when she came out. Gabriel Wortman vehicle. Now, why are they telling the Halifax Regional Police all this stuff, but not willing to tell the public? for another hour and a half when they're using Twitter. Hey, Birdie, what's going on? Between 7 and 8. Yeah. So, Deborah, you'd heard the same information I have. They're being, like, this timeline that they're giving is so that they have plausible deniability, right? They can just say, well, we don't really know. We didn't really tell you that, by the way. 748 requests additional ERT members to be called in, and that request is denied. And of course, they haven't answered this and then refer it back to according to the Halifax Regional Police. They're just sending it off, passing the buck back to the RCMP. But it actually sounds like, in some ways, the Halifax Regional Police was trying to do its job. Why were they not wanting to kill him is interesting. And that they weren't willing to go past their defined border. But I can't see how that's true. Who are because we have the armored vehicles, right? Armored vehicles. Nova Scotia shooting. It's that blue thing, and it's got H on the hood. Have you guys seen that? And I think that's for Halifax. Oh, here we go. Does this have an H on the hood? I don't do this Pinterest nonsense. So there's the vehicle. RCMP. Navistar. Maybe this was the vehicle. I thought Halifax did send their troops, or, whatever you want to call them, out. And I thought these fellows in green were, in fact, HRP members. Let's see if we can find what RCMP SWAT members were. RCMP, I don't know what they call themselves. SWAT team. What do they call themselves? Okay, so they call themselves the ERT, right? ERT, Emergency Response Team. Let's see if we can get some photos of what they wear. RCMP. Okay. So they do wear green. So the RCMP wanted to keep all of this in their court as much as possible. Why was it denied? 1026 members not to travel past airport. And then this business about do not shoot. Somebody had made reference to that earlier, and I didn't understand what I asked them in response what they were talking about, and I guess they were referring to this article. Whoever that was, I apologize. ERT were multicams, the body cams, yeah. So they have lots of body cam footage of all of this. This business about we don't know and around about or can't give times or don't understand colors of cars or get out of here. Do we know if RCMP use dash cams? So they do, it appears. At least in Saskatchewan, it looks like. In a statement, the RCMP said the implementation and deployment of new in-car digital video systems is a priority for the Saskatchewan RCMP. Let's see if they do in Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia. God. They really must think we're stupid down in the United States. Like, it's just sad. What's this? No, this is...
It's showing now 4 o'clock. Jesus.
Oh, that's nice.
You thought I was recording? Yeah.
Maybe they don't. They've got to have a garbage pile of footage of everything, and they've released what, a few stills. Are my eyes tired, or is the feed fuzzy? You're probably tired. Beltrace, gotta get some sleep. This is all just too much nonsense. Going back here. Hey, Plaid Army, Corey. I thought they said in the live feed they said 7:30 that she came out of the forest. Well, if that's so, then they knew right away, and they sent that off actually before. But yeah, I thought it was 7 or 8. Leather said he didn't have the specifics at the beginning, and they're being so fuzzy about all this, about a man who's dead. And the fuzziness isn't coming from the fact that he's dead. The fuzziness is because they're trying to protect their own. RCMP have no jurisdiction in Halifax Regional Municipality, so the HRM would have picked him up at the airport limit. Yes, but is not there contingency plan in effect for dealing with something like this, where kind of the idea is to, I hate to use their jargon, neutralize the problem? So you're going to get anything and everything underneath the sun to stop this? But again, they're not wanting to have this issue blow up using the Twitter. I mean, RCMP ERT, where's the multicam? So yeah, we're going to have a lot of footage. Yeah, you can see the photos of them. Where was that? They all have the cams on their helmets, right? And we can see them in the picture with Wardman. You can definitely see the cameras on their helmet cams. Almost like the police and the RCMP are working together against each other. I don't know about that. It seems like there's a lot of collaboration between the two, and I think because the province is so small, they're friendly with one another. A lot of people seem to move. I've read definitely of a few cases of people moving from one police department to another. I wonder if a lawyer can sue for the body cam footage. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why, if a class action suit comes in place, you can subpoena that kind of stuff. They'll put up a fight for sure, kicking and screaming. But I don't think they have much of a leg to stand on legally, because what are they going to say? This is an issue of national security. The guy is dead. Good point, though, Mercer. Great point. But you have to get them in court to do that, right? So that's why I'm trying to find information enough to proceed with civil litigation against them. Masso, the field mouse I was born. Okay. Lloyd Minister now. Let's see here. Please hit the like button. That's nice. Thank you. Thanks, DMAC. How you doing? Beth says, but RCMP can on off ramps. So is there footage, if they have dash cam footage, is that uploaded to a cloud at kind of real time or fairly real time? So then, does Stevenson / Morrison, their cars, do they have real time uploading dash cam footage, or is that just stored internally? Let's see if we can find something about that. Is police dash cam footage uploaded to a cloud? Oh, cloud. Real time. I would think that they'd have something like that. Because if they're, obviously if the car is burned up, then we're not going to find any evidence, which I think, frankly, they're going to say something like that. Oh, yeah, no, it got destroyed. What about airbags in the cars? As in terms of the front end collision? Can't really tell. Let's have a look at that footage. I don't think it's too and thank you to Hitters for this. So we can see the gray Mazda in the Gina Goulet's house here, right there. Can't see the license plate, which is unfortunate, but definitely can see that this potentially is the same car. Probable. For that, so thank you for that, Hitters. And let's see if we can find the footage there and see if we can see anything about airbags. This picture, the light is reflecting off. I know somebody raised that issue once before about did somebody fly into the ditch from this accident? And my answer to that would be no, because the windshield seems to be intact. The light is reflecting off of it. And the other car, this is the trunk. So that's not, I don't think a body flew into the ditch from that car. No front end damage. You see, from this angle, you can't see any front end damage. So I don't know what they're talking about head on collision here. This is not adding up. Where else do we have some footage? Let's see here. Wish we had more. I know there's more out there. More footage of that crash scene. Somebody's got to have. There were lots of people around. And people these days, they have their.
Oh, baby, we're right on the scene.
This is fucked.
Maybe Blue Apple's video might show it better.
This is so fucked.
It's too far away on this one.
They're dragging him out. Look, they're dragging somebody. Oh my god. That's
That's a real cop, man. You
Oh,
just killed
fuck.
a real cop right in front of us.
Oh my god. Oh god.
Oh my God.
Oh my fuck. This is fucking crazy.
Wait a second here. Let's see.
Fucking crazy.
Oh. So want to see if I can get...
Oh my fuck.
Okay. Let's see if we can get a close-up of that car that's off in the distance. I wish I had some kind of software that would clean up pictures and stuff like that. If you guys know of something like that, let me know. Hmm. Hmm. Something's definitely on the roof. I can't even make out what type of vehicle that possibly could be. Could that be one of those SWAT vehicles? Do you think? Let me know in the comments. Let's see. Also, we'll go back to the airbag question. Sorry. Shiny things. Airbag question. Where's Blue Apples? Enhanced video. She did a really good job with that. There we go.
This is fucked. This is so fucked. He's in that car. They're dragging a rope up, they're dragging somebody. Oh my god. That's it.
That's a real
I can't tell.
Oh my
I can't tell. It's too dark. It's too far away.
god.
If you guys think you see an airbag there, let me know. Okay. Going back here. Sorry. Right. I don't know if there's a Yiddish component to this. I think their stuff is a bit larger scale. And I do think this is just some nut who went off, but I think his motives were... What were his motives? That's going to be interesting. We're all brothers and sisters. The RCMP is about as credible as the CBC. Yeah, I would agree. And they tell you about as much information, you know. They tell you about as much information. They edit stuff, delete things. You know, it's all kinds of wonderful stuff going on. Just finished praying. Good. Didn't open with a prayer. I don't want to spitball prayers. I think I sound kind of ridiculous. There will be a bunch of cams watching the gas pumps. Yes. Hitters was mentioning to me, hopefully I'm not saying something about that that's too... Okay, so let's see, how can I save this photo? I want to dock some. Save image as. Let's go with that. Now, he was mentioning how it was rather strange about the gas pumps and these signs here, how they're all knocked down. Is that something that is normal at that station? Do they put the signs down? Why are the signs down? They look like they're all pushed down, but not disorderly, in a disorderly way. They're all in a row. Very strange. And what else did he say here? It's odd the Halifax ERT team to fill up an Enfield only 30 minutes from their base. Now, he's saying that he thinks it's the ERT team, which I thought it was too. Unless Halifax has an RCMP ER team. So I don't know. That's really just really good luck, don't you think? That is honestly what they're saying to you, to all of us. It's just extraordinarily good luck that they happened to stop for gas and he was at the pump beside him. And then they decided, oh, that's him. Because they had no idea what vehicle he was driving, right? They were unaware of the Gina Goulet component, the Mazda, all of that. It was just the fact that Wortman happened to stop at the same gas station, at the same pump. I believe he was wearing a hat. So, I mean, that seems kind of strange, right? Because, like, wouldn't he just turn his back to them? Maybe it's just very good luck that they happen to be there. Just got here, looks fine. Okay. Dedication to the max. Well, I'm upset, and I don't like lies. I can't stand lies, and I'm very upset for my friend. Watching on 720p looks okay. Okay. Sister, wow, you guys, thank you for all your compliments. You're making me blush. I'm just a regular dude. Tracy from BC. I'm going to have to come down to the Maritimes at some point. Listen to some music. I love Irish music. Maritime music has that flavor. RCMP and local have different bosses, but usually would have each other's backs. Yeah, I think they're friends for the most part. You know, I know they pipe that up on TV, but I think in reality, again, you're talking about a brotherhood. How would it be? It would be great to have footage. Absolutely. Jonestown. I'm not going to talk about Jonestown. Equipment lockers may have a tragic accident. Not sure if I understand what you're saying there, Deborah. The equipment lockers may have a tragic accident, meaning the information might get lost and that kind of stuff. I saw that too. Something about a badge. The RCMP lost a badge, one of their members, like not that long ago. RCMP badge with ID lost. There we go. Under the Herald Chronicle Herald out of Halifax. Lost and found. Mountie's badge, wallet returned to detachment. April 23rd. So, geez, you know, they have a shooting, and 4 days later, one of their members loses his wallet with his badge and his ID. Derp. I mean, if you can't keep screwing up. Like, might as well just keep going. They're covering for the RCMP, and they must not want survivors and the public to know, especially those who can sue them. Oh, I think at this point, listen, there is such a problem. There's enough credible reasons here to proceed with a case against them. But it's getting people organized down there, the survivors, you know, and I'm not, I don't really want to talk to, I don't want to meddle in that, but I think, you know, there are a couple of people who can very tastefully. Hi there, just watch body cams, have, will not have a secret life. Yeah, oops, all the body cams, suddenly there was an EMP that went off. They just didn't work. Yeah. Bellatrix, hopefully Bellatrix not having too many problems with the video. I believe the police is now Wi-Fi to use the stream. It would be on the cloud. I think so. You know, you'd think that they would keep that stored externally. And I mean, that technology certainly exists. So I can't see why it's not in place. That law was already written. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he said so. He said that. He was, prior to this all, he had already written it all up. But of course, he's got to say that too, right? Because if he says all of a sudden, oh, by the way, I just came out with this, it's kind of like the New Zealand one, the New Zealand mosque shooting, and they dropped that huge bill like that. That was a gigantic mess too. I didn't look into that too well, but I know that Adrian did a lot. Just my stupid opinion. Again, I got all the links down below for those guys' channels who are really working their tail off too on all this, just as you guys all are. And if you feel so inclined, please donate to Tara's fund. You can save yourself some dollars though, and apparently send it via e-transfer. I'm not a big e-transfer person, so I didn't even know about this kind of stuff really. Israel got backdoor to all devices thanks to the China bad guy. Camo, you must watch Brendan O'Connell. I'm thinking. Would that be a good assumption on my part? I think so. Gun grab just planned like in Australia. Yeah, there was an interesting, let's see, this where was that? He sent it to me. Slippin'. Where did he send that to me? Oh, balls. I think he sent it to me on some other chat about the UN gun grab. There was actually a document all about the UN gun grab. I was quite shocked when I saw it. I mean, it was kind of spelled it out in black and white. I'd never seen it before. UN, civilian, disarm. It was a paper. I'll find it. He sent it to me, but I'll find it some other time. No evidence of a head-on. Is that? I don't think that the pictures support that there is that there was a head-on collision there. They really don't. There's damage to the other vehicle, but this vehicle does not have any damage on the front end. And if this was a high-speed head-on, you would have, I assume, probably some damage to the windshield. But this car does not have any crumpled front end. Doesn't fit. The exercise at the hospital. Yeah, the hospital was a bit weird. I will agree. But they must be so overwhelmed with the public knowing so much. I wish there were more people aware too, but the only way that more people become aware, right, is spreading it by word of mouth. That's our job. So that's also on you guys too, right? You talk to your friends, you say, here's the information, or, go and watch this stream. Those guys are talking about it. The more and more people that we have looking and paying attention to it, uploading videos, downloading videos, putting them up, actually asking the RCMP kind of some tough questions. I don't think we need to do it in a disrespectful way, because they do, there are obviously very good police officers and stuff like that. So it just seems to be some rot, I would think, in there that doesn't want to admit their shortcomings at all. You think the video could be faked? Well, there's the other video too. I have the gazebo video somewhere, and that's taken from directly opposite to this, almost on the other side of the ramp. It's actually down by the gazebo, and so that's another video. I don't know. It's not a very good video. I'll have to look at it some more, but because it's so far away, but you can see it's another video that some people are taking. There's lots of people around that watch this, though they're not speaking. I find that very interesting. Israel had backdoors and everything. Promise Soft and Prometheus. Yep, absolutely. That's kind of more of my regular type stuff. Is more of the bigger end Israel J question. That's kind of where I do most of my research, but not right now. Does anyone know the people in the car? I've tried to find who these people are. I did get closer. I got the actual Facebook message that was sent out, and it has a comment on it, but I've never been able to identify, like they've labeled the video, I've never been able to identify who that was. I want to know who's running away. I want to know who's running away too. I want to know in this thing, I want to know who's running away, why the guys are going down into the ditch, who's the car in the background, who's the body that they're dragging out around the car, were there bullets discharged there? According to the person who made the video, they just shot a real cop right in front of us. Let's just see. I don't think we're going to get anything on that, but let's just see if we've got something about shooting at Shuba Kanadi, or I'm not going to say it. Somebody sent me a nice message saying, you guys like the way I mispronounced the name. I'm going to be well known for this by now. Shots fired. Oh no, I'm going to misspell this now. Oh no. How can I find this here? Let's see. Heidi Stevenson. Heidi Stevenson. They never said that there was gunfire between them. But see, that doesn't make sense because the body's already down. Anyways, sorry. Brain going there. Looks like a cop car off in the distance. You think? It's got something on the roof. The headlights appear a bit square, though. And it looks like a bigger vehicle, like an SUV. Or it could be an armored vehicle. It could be one of these armored vehicles. I really wish I had some kind of software that could enhance that picture so I could see a little bit better. Looks like SWAT. To get an interview with whom? Sorry. I'd like to do some interviews with lots of people. I have a list. Steve LTT is superstar on, talking to certain people, because he's talked to a few people about all this that are down there, which is really, really, really great. It's such a huge help to have him, because I'm just not, I don't approach people very well. Profile is very unique and quite angular. Yeah. It's kind of square. Let's see. What was the name of that vehicle? The RCMP one? Do we have that window still open somewhere here? That was interesting. Steve Strake, if you guys missed that. Counselor Steve Strake, who's friends with, was a quote neighbor of Weber's, is actually related to him by marriage, I believe. So what was the RCMP SWAT vehicle? Could it be this? Let's see if we can get a head-on picture. It may be one of these. Though that turret sticking out of the top doesn't look right. What's this? Regina. This is Ham. Who is this? My God, like, where do we live that you need these types of vehicles? Thank goodness it's not the United States. Let's see if we can narrow it down to Nova Scotia. Chronicle Herald. So this is for Halifax. But they said they weren't doing anything, right? So it's not them. Now this is the one, see, I got confused with this H on the hood. I just thought this was for Halifax. Oh, that could be H. Is it H division? Is that what you guys have down there? For the province of Nova Scotia, H division. Yeah, it's H division. Okay, so that's why it's got the H on the front of it. So, I mean, this big, huge, bulky thing on the top doesn't appear to be fit with that, does it? Do you think? I can download it and stick it side by side, but if it didn't have that gigantic turret thing on the top, I'd say it looks like it could definitely be it. What are your thoughts? Everybody's doing really good work. See, I would have never found these articles or get these pictures or all this good stuff without everybody. It's hard to tell if it's just one vehicle. Could be a second one higher up behind it that's giving it that shape. Okay, let's look at it again. I don't think so. Let's look at the video again. Because the person in fact running from that vehicle. Why is this person running? Like, nobody wanders around on the middle of the road.
This is Kage.
Unless maybe they went down there to check it out.
This is so fucked.
See, these guys all have cams on their helmets. So all that footage is there.
They're dragging a boat up, they're dragging somebody. Oh my god.
CERT, they would have to file CERT reports because if there's discharge of firearms going on at this point in time, they would have to be on file with CERT.
That's a
real problem.
oh my god. Oh god.
So here comes the guy running. Why are they running? Who is running? Who is running? Who is running? There you go. Who is running? Oi, vey. Don't pull me back in. I'll get back to that when this is all said and done. When the cops scrawling in grass for cameras, I thought set up. When I see those cops crawling in the grass for cameras, I thought it was set up. It is kind of strange, those guys just kind of going down in the. But if they were the ones that were doing the shooting, there was no threat posed to them, right? Maybe. If you watch this video, in the background, there's somebody running away. I know it's been brought up before. Yeah, no, definitely the person running away, who is this individual? Where are they going? There's very little for this person to go to, by the way. They can either run down to the highway or go into a neighborhood. Google Earth. And then we do the Shuby visit. Sorry, I forgot again. My bumpkinness. I forgot to share this stuff. So if we go over here, where is it? Here's the turn off. Get out of here, you. Okay, so the video is taken. My pointer is not going to show well here, but the up here, here's the gazebo over here, and this video is taken, and the cars are located around about here. There were people down in this gravel lot who made a video, and there were people here who made a video. Then apparently we've got this unknown vehicle over here, and the person is running away down the ramp, and there's really nowhere for this person to go other than into this neighborhood. So I don't know who that is, why they would be running around there. I mean, that just seems strange. People don't run around on the highway unless you're out west of Calgary here. They get mowed down, sadly. Find out who is connected, as in family. To whom? To Wortman? Wortman has 2 ex-RCMP uncles who have a lot of RCMP friends. One of them is friends with somebody in Seamus. The one uncle is completely off the radar, like totally off the radar. I've tried to find stuff out about him. He is he's a ghost. The other uncle is quite open. Is it possible the RCMP thought it was easier to control the narrative if they did not have the Halifax police involved? Yes. My answer, I think, would be yes. What do you think, Bertie? A. Mercer, did they bring the guy up running in the background? Yeah, they bring up, okay. Yep. No, I'm never going to forget about that, sister. Don't worry. Haven't seen all the pics, been busy with other things. Don't think so, Seamus. They pulled over the guns just after. It's Yiddish elite mafia. Again, this article is so it's so interesting that they're saying, where's that? Where did I put that article again? Balls. Okay, please screen share. Thank you. Derp. Oh, okay, I've got stuff here from somebody. Some very nice compliments. Thank you. From Chandler. Another sibling is Christine Weber. Okay, so there we've got sister of Mr. Weber. Another question I had is, are all the bodies being cremated? Did somebody hear something about this? I've heard something about that all the bodies are being cremated. All of them. So it's not just Tara's brother, not just Jolene and Emily, but all of them. I haven't dug into that at all, but I've heard that. What if two cops tried to stop a false flag event? I don't think this is a false flag. I mean, I don't think so. I think it's a lot of police bungling and a guy who went completely off the rails, who had a lot of weapons. I mean, even the RCMP article to the what was this? That was what I was trying to pull up, was the article that we were originally talking about here, which Blue and Don't Know What I Don't Know is staggering, and a couple other people sent. It's an odd article. This is an odd article, but it's great. It's great. I'm hoping more people will come forward. Maybe they are getting pressured, and they're feeling really, because the good police officers must feel like they're in jeopardy. Honestly, if they can't do certain things, or their hands are tied by this BS that's trying to bury truth, it puts their lives in danger. Literally, they can't do their job. But they knew that he had a ton of weapons too. And they knew where the weapons were, in Masstown as well as Portland Street. And he's purchased a lot of ammo. Portland Street, I believe, is the clinic. He has a lot of weapons stored at a location in Masstown. Where's Masstown? I'm not from down there, so I'm sadly I don't know these things. Masstown. He had something in Masstown? Well, that's news. What news? Masstown and what was the other place? Portland Street, I believe, is where the denture clinic was. And what is it? 90. He owns 93. He owns 3 properties on it. Let's try 93 Portland Street, I think it was. 93 Portland Street, Dartmouth. That's the neighbor, I think. Where is it? Portland Street. What was the denture clinic called? I think this is the denture clinic. And he had the shotgun there before that they never took away. They never took away, the Halifax Regional Police, according to the father. I thought it was GV, then the Weber guy, but have to have. I don't know who. If you're talking about who's running down, I don't know who's running down there. You can speculate. At first, I thought it was Wortman, but I don't think so. And somebody put in the comments today about the about starting the cars on fire, and they're like, oh, you know, it would be difficult to start the cars on fire. And I was like, yeah, absolutely, it would be difficult to start the cars on fire. And then they're like, oh no, nix that. You know, you could just stick a rag in the gas tank and light it on fire, but you also have to have the rag, you know, soaked in gas. So where's the gas coming from, you know, to make it go poof? I sent you some messages, says Ozzy. Let's see what you sent. Oh, yes, you sent me, I believe, quite a bit here. So let's see here. Oh, I've got some other stuff here. RCMP among... Okay, ooh. I've got a bunch of stuff here. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Wow. Give me one moment, please, here. Note some timeline problems. All right, let's try this article first. Story map. Everybody's got their own interpretations of this stuff. I think I've read this one. That guy looks familiar. What is this thing? Do they have... Oh, I see. Yeah, okay. Yeah, they even say in here there's some issues. So let's back up and go to, let's go to Shuby and see what they say here. Now this is taken from down at the gazebo, so here's another group of people. I've seen this picture before, and the cars are fully engulfed at this point. And again, you can't see any front end damage on this cruiser, right? This one seems to be fine, but now is fully in flames. Stevenson confronts the gunman and is killed. Joey Weber is passing by and stops to help, but is killed, likely by the gunman. Now, where would he be passing by? And then we've got the purple people car eater, or whatever I nicknamed it, over here to the left. Whose car is that? I have this picture. Let's see if I can bring it up bigger. What is this purple car over here? I mean, you'd think wouldn't be a safe place probably to park with all this going on. And at this point, there's no police here, apparently. None that you can see anyway. Probably looks like it would be rather hazardous to be around in that scene anyways, in terms of at least smoke. Lots of gas. Slowly but surely, we're getting it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so, sorry, I'm going to try and just go through some of these messages I'm getting hit with here. So, let's see here. So, some timeline problems, absolutely. Outside my parents' house. All right, so let's bring up this. This person, I've seen their name. They don't live in Shuby. Whoever this is, Halifax Noise. They got interviewed. 2 cars on fire. Didn't see Dad. We don't. Dad heard gunshots, and we don't know how it happened. At least 1 car. Okay, so again, more verification of the gunshots. And of course, we have the pictures of them with the shell casings. Where's that? The next day. I don't think you see it in this one. I think they blocked it off. Oh, yes, you can kind of see it in this one. This is not a good one, but you can see them with the pylons. So they've put the pylons down to mark, presumably, shell casings. And you can see a little bit of front end damage on this car, which actually looks to be a lot more than just a little bit, but it's not super severe. So this car, which I think they're trying to say is Gabriel Wortman's car, did have quite a bit of damage, whereas the other one didn't. So this head-on collision stuff is just a bunch of bunk. Moving along in the comments there. This is from okay. Gabriel Wortman, active shooter in custody. Okay, yeah. I remember this tweet came out, and then the one that he was shot. I thought I remember seeing one that he was shot, but I've never seen it again. So if anybody does happen to come across that, please send me a photo of it. Because I can't seem to find it, so it might just be me that's mistaken. Let's see what you're saying here. Milford Fire Department. Oh, is this about where the police are saying? This is the Milford Volunteer Fire Department, where the police say is where the surveillance photo was taken, which is complete shit. That's an utter lie. I think, what was it, 8 kilometers away or something? It's ridiculous. It's a total and utter bunch of BS. I don't know why they're doing that too. I mean, it's quite clear that video where it was taken, on their timeline. Let's see here. So they're lying about that one. That one's an absolute lie. The Milford Fire Department. Get out of here. It's the cigar shop, Lloyd Johnson's cigar shop. We know who it is. It's not his cigar shop, actually. We know the guy who owns it is one of the council members from the band, the Pick 2 Cigar Shop or something. And it has another name also. Okay. RCMP officer among dead at Nova Scotia gunman's rampage. I don't think. Okay, I think we've gone through this once. Okay. Oh, and you found a number for Darlene. I don't think it's Darlene Weber. Let's see. You say, I'm pretty sure I found one of Weber's kids on Facebook. Her name is Kate Weber, still digging. I think the wife's name is Darlene, and I have a phone number. Not sure, still digging. I believe we were able to find that her name is Shonda McLeod, I think. Father's name is Tom Weber. Okay, so hope I've got everything over there on Twitter. Not getting notifications when I go live. Okay, that's nothing new. Make sure you ding the bell. But no, it doesn't work anyways, I don't think. But it can't hurt to ding the bell, right? Chill with the ECC family. Am I doing a stream and he's streaming or something right now? I don't want to be. What news? I don't want to be going over top of him. I like his stuff. He makes me laugh. Got a good brain too. Always very talented. Always good time in the Maritimes. Yay. Hopefully we can restore sanity and peace to your guys' neck of the woods, because that's because you yell at your phone. Don't know what that's about. I like yelling at my phone. I'm from Newfoundland, living in BC. Newfoundland. Don't you know, boy? Dar boy. Cops most likely put the signs down to avoid a car up the ass. Okay. Lost a badge and a handgun. Oh, and a handgun. Oh, they lost a handgun. Let's have a look at that. RCMP loses handgun. Loses another handgun. This is November, so not probably. 813 guns lost by police. That sounds great. Lost and stolen from police. '25 to 2019. Who is this, just some claim, or does he have some verification of this? Anyways, So it appears that they do lose firearms for sure. I mean, we hear of that periodically. Hundreds of guns go missing from the Mounties. Lily, ex-rabbi, got out while the going was good. He knows lots of stuff, Mr. Lily does. Oh, he knows lots of stuff. The firearms researcher. Okay, so that's that guy. I guess probably has verified all this. A total of 640 arms reported lost during that time frame. Another 173 reported stolen. So apparently the RCMP can't keep track of their guns, let alone their badges, let alone their cars, let alone their uniforms. Appears that they're losing their minds over there, losing a lot of stuff. Lost badge and Wortman found it. I don't know about that one, but definitely losing stuff. I think that's fake news. Don't be spreading fake news now. Where was it found? I don't know. Did we get into where it was found? When was the lost wallet? It was April 23rd. So 4 days later. Wallet, badge, lost, RCMP. We can just read through the article. I mean, this looks so bad. Like you pick the worst time. It just keeps getting worse. RCMP sent out a news release Thursday afternoon asking for information on a lost badge, wallet, and identification on Baker Drive. At about 4:50, they reported the items and had been turned into a local detachment. They lose cars, I think. They lose uniforms. They lose badges. They lose guns. They lose their ability to tell colors. Have they said who the girlfriend is? Yes, I know who the girlfriend is. And they have. But I did do a video where I was going to talk about it, but I'm not going to dox her because that's absolutely wrong. But her story is fishy, and the police are trying to protect her. There's something funny about the whole beginning there, and that was when they had the problems answering the questions. Remember, in French? I have many theories. I don't have all the info. What if the cop was screwing Wortman's girlfriend? Wow, that's really out there. I don't know. And that he got his hands on a cop's weapon, clothes, and car. I think he just had somebody on the inside. And they've kind of even tacitly said, yes, they're looking at that. They are looking at that. That somebody on the inside is helping him out. Walks out, finds him in bed, picks up gun, starts handgun, and starts the party. I think there might be some kind of love thing going on there, maybe at the beginning, but I don't think it has anything to do with cops. I don't think so. Like event 201, it's a pattern. Brendan and Johnny Cano. Okay, there you go. I knew you guys watching the same stuff. I think Brandon lost his mind again. That poor guy, he keeps losing his mind. I understand where he's coming from because I know, I'm like sitting there ranting sometimes about stuff in that, how do you want to put it, realm. People don't listen to it. Our brains are so conditioned. You cannot hear anything negative about certain area people. Let's add another layer. E-trans, 100% for Terra, 0% Yep, it's much better deal if you donate to Tara's fund. Again, this is just for her estate. That's it. To get the estate and next of right of kin, and hopefully then also RCMP, and hopefully also autopsy. I was in contact with her a little bit more about that today. I'm trying to just leave her be a little bit because she's just been inundated with so much stuff. Maybe it was Manchurian candidate, possible. Every dictator in history, first things take guns. Yeah, Wortman was involved with some shady shit with cops. And when he finds cops smashing his girlfriend, he realizes they have been using him and goes for everyone involved. I think he was just doing some bit, this is totally speculative, but I think there was drugs, and I think there was some stuff going on, and the RCMP knew about it, and something set him off for sure. What it is, remember how they were so adamant during the press conference too at the beginning. Let's watch that. Do I have that? And he's like, "Oh, I need to clarify. The beginning part was not a catalyst. That just it was so out of line, like didn't fit." I'm like, "Why are you telling us this?" Where is that? Press briefing. Press briefing. Is this one? I think it's this one.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Corporal Jennifer Clark, spokesperson for the RCMP in Nova Scotia.
She's not a friendly character. I don't think her boyfriend, husband's very happy. I don't know if she's married or not, but
today, Superintendent Darren Campbell, officer in charge of support services for the RCMP in Nova Scotia.
All right, let's get on with Darren. I think he starts it off with it. It's not a catalyst.
Related to the incidents as they unfolded, I first want to acknowledge those who have lost their lives.
Okay.
22 innocent people were killed at the hands of a gunman, and 3 people were injured. To call this a tragedy would be an understatement.
Just get on with the facts,
Those who
sir.
lost their lives did so while trying to save
It
others.
is tragic.
They are
Your
true
job
heroes.
isn't to tell us how tragic it is.
I want to express my sincere condolences to all of the families.
That's on
Two
you
elements that I'd like to address
and your
before
department.
going through the incidents as they unfolded. These incidents happened in a rural area of Nova Scotia, which is Portapique, in the community of Colchester County, which is in a central part of the province. This is a small community of about 100 people who live there year-round. These homes are set back from the roadways. Some are old, others are newer, and some are summer residents along the Bay of Fundy.
Why does that matter?
This is a quiet and peaceful community.
Some of them are old, some of them are new. Thanks. What news?
In that particular area. The RCMP implements a critical incident command structure when responding to complaints that may impact public safety. Highly skilled and trained officers come together as a team in order to direct emergency personnel.
Apparently not very skilled.
Specialized units deployed when responding to a complaint or a critical incident. These two elements are very important to be aware of as I go through the timeline of these incidents. The following details that I'll be sharing with you have been put together because of the benefit of hindsight and further investigation. And knowing what happened.
And working with the story that is being exposed.
And the subsequent calls, they did not have the benefit or the knowledge that I'm about to share with you. The initial complaint was of a shooting. To help explain the timeline, I'll be talking about 3 clusters of incidents. The first cluster was in the Portapique area on Saturday night. On Sunday, there was a second cluster of incidents in the areas of Wentworth, Glenholm, and DeBurg.
Maybe it was the one
And then
prior.
a
He
third
says
and
it.
final cluster of incidents were in the Shubenacadie area, Milford.
Oh, he has a problem with it too. At least I'm not the only one.
You might not see.
Investigation is that on April 18th, before the first 911 call was received, there was an assault between the gunman
Okay.
and a person known to him. This assault occurred in the area of Portapique. The victim managed to escape from the gunman, and she hid overnight in the woods. Following this, police received its first 911 call with a report of a shooting at a home in the area. Officers arrived on scene at 10:26 in the evening, where they located a male who was leaving the area with an apparent gunshot wound.
Okay. So they right away knew at 10:26 that it wasn't a quote weapons complaint. It was somebody had been shot and they're then finding bodies. So this business about weapons complaint, complete disinformation on a platform that nobody has access to.
This male was shot while driving his vehicle, and the victim indicated that a vehicle had driven by him while he was driving, and that he was shot as the vehicle was passing by. He did describe this vehicle as a vehicle that looked like a police vehicle. He also indicated to the responding officers that that vehicle was driving towards the beach.
So there we go. An admission, 10:26. We know that it's a shooting, and we know that a cop car is involved at 10:26. When did we first hear about the cop car? 9? Was it 9 o'clock in the morning? Wow. Negligence. Negligence.
And that
Lawyers are going to absolutely have a field day with you.
That's important to note that. The officer arranged for EHS, which is Emergency Health Services, to attend to the victim, and the victim was taken to hospital. He has survived. Several police units responded to the area.
Where's that survivor? Zip. Zip.
And upon arriving, they located several people who were deceased, some of which were lying in the roadway.
Oh, don't worry. It's just a weapons complaint, though. Lots of deceased people lying in the roadway. Gunshot wound victim, assault, or sorry, in the hospital. But don't worry, it's just a weapons complaint. We'll tell you that on Twitter. Negligence. Negligence.
There were also several structures that were already fully engulfed in flames. In total, there were over 7 locations where people were found deceased. Many of the deceased were discovered while responding members were checking homes for victims and or for suspects.
But it's a weapons complaint.
At this time, the police began looking at a number of possible suspects as a result of the information that they were receiving. While the situation was unfolding, the critical incident program was engaged and was staging to take control of the critical incident. During this point, perimeters were established. Specialized units responded, which included police dog services, emergency response team members, and requests for air support helicopter. There was also explosive disposal unit, crisis negotiators, and emergency medical response teams that were part of the critical incident package.
So you had a perimeter established.
Within a very short period of time, we also engaged specialized units and resources from a neighboring division in New Brunswick. Over a lengthy course of time, first responders engaged in clearing residences, searched for suspects, provided life-saving measures to victims. Telecommunication operators remained on the line with witnesses in the immediate area for extended periods of time. Fairly early into our involvement, we learned of a possible suspect and learned the individual lived in a home within that same community in Port.
So fairly early on. Do you notice how he's being, 1, extraordinarily vague, and 2, how they have identified the victim or the perpetrator. That he is driving a cop car and he is shooting people and starting fires fairly early on. But it's a weapons complaint. Until they tell you at what time. That's just, oh my Lord, these people. What time was the first time that they said anything about a mass shooting? They got all kinds of stuff on their Twitter feed now. Like it's called overcompensation. It's like some guys who drive very fast cars. They're compensating for something else. So active shooter investigation. Active shooter. So the first time that we learn that it is an active shooter investigation is at, you can add the balls. That's why can't I do that? I don't understand. Why does it not want to go over top? I just can't. Bad driver. This is the first time that you get mention of the fact that it's an active shooter. What time is that? Is it early on when they found all the bodies? Oh, no, that would be 8:02 in the morning. How many hours is that? That's 9 to 10 hours after they knew about it. That they're going to tell people on Twitter. Twatter. This is gross negligence causing death. Honestly, that legally is what it would be deemed as. Gross negligence causing death. Civil suit. And they knew it was a cop car early on, but they don't tell anybody. They don't tell anybody about the cop car until, here we go. What time? Add 3 hours. 10:17. Unbelievable. 12 hours later, they're going to tell people there's a guy, a madman, running around with a cop car. And this is after that they've gone to the father's house, because they went to the father's house at 5 in the morning and told him Gabriel Wortman's father. And they knew about the cop car shit months before. Police. So anyway, sorry, we'll go back to the video. I'm surprised. I don't know if it is this one or it's the previous one where he talks about the girlfriend.
Garages, I can confirm, were fully engulfed in flames as well. 2 police package Ford vehicles, as well as a third vehicle, was also burning on that potential suspect's property.
Sorry, what was that?
Was also burning. Package Ford vehicles, as well as a third vehicle, was also burning.
Police package vehicles.
Potential suspect's property. We also learned that the gunman was in possession of a pistol and long-barreled weapons. We learned that he was also known to own several vehicles that looked like police vehicles. Our efforts to locate the suspect continued throughout the night. It was only after 6:30 in the morning or daybreak when a victim emerged from hiding after she had called 911. Our officers responded, and it was at that time.
6:30 in the morning.
Efforts to locate the suspect continued throughout the night. It was only after 6:30 in the morning.
After 6:30. Well, noon is after 6:30. What time was it? What time? No times.
Daybreak, when a victim emerged from hiding after she had called 911. Our officers responded, and it was at that time that through that significant key witness, we confirmed more details about Gabriel Wortman.
Okay. Let's have a look at that Frank article. Hopefully Frank won't get angry at me. Paul Wortman, it's about your son at 5 or 5:30 in the morning. But it's only at 6:30 in the morning we knew about it. Sometime after 6:30 we knew about it. Or was it 5 when they actually went and visited Paul Wortman in Halifax? The RCMP. Which do you think it is? Do you think he's telling you the truth? Or do you think the father of the shooter is telling you the truth? Because the father has nothing to lose. Right? Lies. Hey, Slippin', what's going on, buddy? Get evidence as soon as it disappears. Yeah, all right, so let's get on with this story.
This included the fact that he was in possession of a fully marked and equipped replica RCMP vehicle and was wearing a police uniform.
Well, who the hell did you think was driving around shooting people before in a cop car? Somebody else? Durr! Durr! Honestly, I feel like I'm in the room with special needs people. And no offense on special needs.
We also learned that he was in possession of several firearms that included pistols and long-barreled weapons. It was at that time that police issued a BOLO, which is a be on the lookout for. That's a bulletin which included a description of the suspect and the vehicle to all police agencies in Nova Scotia.
What time was that again? Sometime after 6:30. When were citizens informed of that? When was that? Let's see. Oh, that's right. 10:15 in the morning. 4 hours later. But it's not 4 hours later because they knew early in the investigation the person was driving a cop car. They knew who their suspect was early in the investigation, that it wasn't a weapons complaint, that it was an active shooter, and they're going to tell all of their police buddies, be on the lookout for a cop car, but don't worry about the people walking down the road or people who are going to get pulled over by this cop car and shot. Negligence, 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 causing death. Oops. Wow, they're in a heap pile of shit.
We maintained containment of the scene and continued to search for the suspect. And what I'll do is I'll just turn to the map, and you can see on the map the pinpointed areas are residences of some of our victims. The total number of victims that we've accounted for in that particular area are 13 deceased. And what you can't see.
Do you know who knew that 13 were dead almost right away? Rage in the Cage knew. We knew, thanks to his hard work. But this is the first time they're going to tell you about it. Durr.
On that map as well, you can see Highway 2 just to the north, but there's Portapique Beach Road.
Oh, thanks, Loretta.
Main entry point into the Portapique Beach area. It's an approximately 2 square mile area. It's heavily wooded, and the roads are gravel-based roads.
This is where he mentions, do you notice how the map is cut?
That we've accounted for in that particular.
Do you notice how the map is cut at the top? Don't think that that's because of very poor sizing or you can't do this on a computer. What they don't want your mind to see, right, is the fact that there's only one road out. Yes, he glazes over it, and he does tell you it's very deceptive techniques that he's using. Because if you look at that and you're like, well, you had the perimeter secured, and I can actually see the only one connecting road. How the fuck did this person get out? Your mind is going to put the pieces together. You let him out. He was in a cop car. You thought he was a cop, and you let him out. And he went and killed 9 more people. And placed how many people at risk? Which you didn't even bother to tell them that they were at risk. But that's because he doesn't want to show you this at the top. But he'll tell you, oh yes, there is only one road in, one road out. But don't worry about that. Don't worry about it.
In our area are 13 deceased. And what you can't see on that map as well, you can see Highway 2 just to the north, but there's Portapique Beach Road, and that's the one main entry point into the Portapique Beach area.
No, it's the only entry into the Portapique Beach area, Portapique Beach Road. It's the only one. And why does he say to you, what you can't see on the map? I can size this correctly so that you can see it. It's very easy, but he didn't do it intentionally. Understand the psychological warfare. Please understand what's going on.
It's an approximately 2 square mile area. It's heavily wooded, and the roads are gravel-based roads.
Ce que nous avons appris dans le cadre de l'enquête.
Okay, moving along.
Our initial arrival in the Portapique area, and we began receiving a second series of 911 calls. That was in an area which was more than 60 kilometers away from the Portapique area. Our investigation has revealed that the gunman attended a residence on Hunter Road in the Glenholm area.
So you don't have anything. This is where there's a big hole of time. And that would be because Wortman was still running around, according to Mr. Ellison, right? Clinton Ellison, the man who was freezing in the woods, who CBC edited his video so that he wasn't saying anything negative about the police, went back and re-edited using YouTube editor, so they didn't change the date, they didn't have to re-upload the video. They just went back and deceptively changed that. That man testified on camera that he had, first of all, that there was very few police around. He was looking for them. Where are they? Other than that they were at the end of the road and over in the village. But he said, where are these people? Where were they? and the fact that, what was it? That he heard shooting and explosions. Explosions, I'm presuming, would be the propane, probably on some of these houses, propane tanks blowing up, etc. But he said, I kept hearing that for hours. And they do say, Leather says, now whether he's saying he's using the course of the evening, whether he's meaning the night and the morning, I don't know. He said during the course of the event that there was an exchange of gunfire, or he's talking about the Shuby. I don't know. But he did say that there was an exchange of gunfire that evening. That evening. If he's including the morning kind of in a blanket statement, he said that evening there was an exchange of gunfire. So is Wortman shooting at cops? that evening, he isn't out and about. I feel fairly certain that he's not out and about. I don't care about their little blurry little black and, or it's not black and white, extraordinarily blurry photo, which could be a police car, could be another car, could be one of theirs driving around on the road, and they're saying, well, that's definitely Wortman. Well, how the hell do you know? He didn't do anything until in the morning. So where was he? More than likely, he was down in Portapique, still shooting and burning homes. 3 homes he burned up. And they say that he got that accomplished in half an hour. Blow it out your ass, man. Killing 13 people and setting 3 homes, 3 different cars on fire. I believe he set his own garage on fire, which was a mammoth structure, apparently. And they're going to say to you, oh, yeah, he did that in 30 minutes and he got away because he went through a field in his 4x4 RCMP cruiser. Uh-huh. Or is it the one way out and the one way in, which you can't see on the map? Adieu. Adieu.
At that location, the gunman killed 2 men and 1 woman, and he set the residence on fire. At least 2 of the victims were known to the gunman.
Corrections officers. How does he know corrections officers? Why are they not telling you that? He's dead. They're dead. I think you can say. No, don't want to tell you that one.
Investigation has uncovered
Mr.
that
Money
the
Penny.
traveled to a residence on Highway 4 in the Glenholm area.
I'm never going to live this down, am I? Ever.
He was known to the residents, and they identified him to a
Yep.
911 call.
Bullshit.
They also advised that he was driving a police vehicle and carrying a long-barreled weapon. They did not answer the door, and the gunman left. The gunman continued southbound on Highway 4 from Glenholm to the Wentworth area.
Yes.
Along the way, he encountered a woman who was out walking, and he shot the woman at the roadside. He continued south towards DeBert. At that point, he encountered 2 other individuals who happened to be driving their vehicles at that time. A witness described that
Hey, hillbilly.
pulled
What's
over
going
one
on,
of the
brother?
vehicles and had shot one of the drivers. He continued driving. down
Okay,
that
so
same road.
he's shooting drivers, pulling cars over. Again, how is he doing that? Because he has a police cruiser. When did they find out that he had a police cruiser? Fuck their nonsense. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Somebody has already come out and said, first of all, everybody knew that he had the police cruiser, right? That's been established. Number one, generally, I'm not saying obviously everybody, but I mean, I'm using hyperbole, but a lot of people knew that he had the police cruiser. It was common knowledge. And Mr. Walker knew about it for years and knew that he had this brand new one that he was showing off to fucking everybody under the sun, and knew Wortman told him, Wortman himself told Mr. Walker, the police cruiser, the RCMP were aware of the police cruiser months before, but they just said, don't drive it on the road. And I have read that one other of the cruisers, one of these, because he had 4, right? One other one was also marked and had a light bar, etc. So that's 2. And that one would have been plated. Again, I have to go and find, some more verification of that, but it's burned up because the only other unmarked cop car that survived this was unmarked, and it was down in Dartmouth at his clinic, but they towed that one right away. It was, they shut it down and towed it out of there, but there are photos of it sitting there. And that was, they wanted to get rid of it right away, but people got photos of it. So it was sitting there. Where was Wortman probably going with the Mazda? Probably down to Dartmouth to get the other car because it was sitting there. And it's probably not plated in his name.
Highway 4. He encountered a second vehicle, and he shot and killed that victim.
In the police cruiser, negligence.
During this second series of events, from the timing of the first call on Hunty Road to the last incident, was about a distance of 44 kilometers. You can see on the map, unfortunately, that second 911 call is not on the screen. However, you can see some timings of the pinpoint of the map. The lower left corner, you can see the Portapique area. The first incident that we believe that the gunman had attended to was that pin at the top of the map, which is in the Wentworth area. That's where he killed the two males, the male and two males and one female. He then proceeded over to the Glenholm area, which is just to the left of that, where that 911 call came in, and he departed that residence. Shortly after that, 9:35, there was a 911 call for the female walker as the gunman proceeded down to the Debert area by 10:08.
I can't seem to find the other interview because he gets into the girlfriend.
2 heures après notre arrivée à
Where is it?
Portapique, le service 911 a commencé à recevoir une deuxième série d'appels venant d'un secteur situé à plus de 60 km de Portapique. Notre enquête a révélé que le tireur s'était rendu à une résidence du chemin Hunter à Glenholm.
Vehicle was actually driven by the gunman. The gunman pulled up beside Constable Morrison and immediately opened fire. Constable Morrison received several gunshot wounds, and he began to retreat from the area, driving his vehicle away from the scene. He notified other officers and dispatch that he had been shot and that he was en route to an EHS station for emergency medical attention. During that time, Constable Heidi Stevenson was nearby, believed to be driving northbound on Highway 2, while the gunman was driving southbound on Highway 2 at that time. At that point, both vehicles collided head-on. Constable Stevenson engaged the gunman. The gunman took Constable Stevenson's life. He also took Constable Stevenson's issued sidearm and her magazines. A passerby had stopped and was fatally shot by the gunman. The gunman set both Constable Stevenson's vehicle and the replica police vehicle on fire. He left the scene driving south on Highway 224 in the passerby's vehicle, which was described as a silver SUV. The gunman traveled south on Highway 224 for a very short distance.
For a very short distance, 1.8 kilometers. Why is there so many tweets about the silver SUV? Weber's supposed SUV. Balls, 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 balls. More lies. More lies. Totally not in the area, the silver SUV, where they're tweeting out. Weber, there's something fishy about Weber. I think he got killed accidentally by the police. That's a very serious allegation to level. I'm speculating. I'm not saying it was for certain, but I'm saying that there's seeming that there's a probability that this in fact did occur. Now I want to find the other one. Which one was this? This was the first one. There was two. This was April 24th. There was another one that he did. Which one was this? Okay, I think this is it. April 28th. Okay, so let's go over there because he talks about the girlfriend. And he's like, "Oh, I need to start this off by saying,"
or that he possessed a replica police vehicle. Investigators have determined that all 4 police cars were on the job. The recent events here in Nova Scotia remind us that policing is an inherently dangerous job.
yeah, all about the police again.
Constable Heidi Stevenson, who gave her life to protect the community, and Constable Chad Morrison, who was injured in the incident, are both very much on our minds. Thank you once again to everyone who bravely responded to intervene and to those who stopped to help them. Today is also a day to acknowledge the victims of this tragic incident. And I want to express my sincere condolences to all the families
Why
of
is the video
22
freezing?
innocent people who were killed at the hands of a gunman. I want to thank Nova Scotians
I think I would start it off with
that they've
the
shown to all
22
the
other
families
people who died.
and to the
21.
RCMP. Having provided an account of the incidents this past Friday, my focus today is to provide you with an update on our investigation and the information that we've uncovered to this point. Any homicide investigation is a significant endeavor. In this case, we're dealing with 22 homicides. We have a sizable major crime team dedicated to the investigation, and we have engaged several support resources. In addition, we have experts across the country, and we're now receiving additional support from RCMP resources from across the country. We received support from external agencies as well, including the Canadian Armed Forces, the Halifax Regional Police, and the Canada Border Services Agency. I want to extend my appreciation for all the law enforcement agencies.
That's a good question, Hillbilly. I don't know.
Support.
I don't know. Did she do visits?
Our job now is to determine the actions of the gunmen on April 18th and 19th. Though the gunman will never stand
Where's he
trial,
going to talk about the wife?
we will still have a duty to complete this investigation by the same standards that we would have if he was standing trial. At this time, priority areas for us are to determine how the gunman obtained access to the equipment that he used and to establish the gunman's movements before and after April 18th and 19th. We'll also want to determine if anyone had any knowledge.
More psychological warfare. He's not telling you something there. What is he not telling you? It's not, and he's massaging it softly. Equipment, sports equipment, etc. But it's, cop cars, cop uniforms, potentially cop guns, hence CERT's involvement in taking over the investigation of Wortman's weapons. CERT. Not RCMP, CERT.
Of the gunman's plan, if any, and if they had assisted him in any way. We've been focusing on witness interviews, video canvassing, and judicial authorizations that allow us to obtain search warrants and records. This work has enabled us to gain a much better picture. To give you a sense of the scope of the investigation, to this point we have identified over 435 witnesses, and at this point we've interviewed more than half of those. There are many more interviews to come, and we expect the witness list to grow. Also, we've completed approximately 20 legal applications, and we've obtained authorizations to help us determine the acquisition of the equipment and the gunman's activities and movements.
The equipment, again, and he's obtained over 20 warrants. Let's see, warrants, RCMP, Nova Scotia. Oh, what's this? Media consortium seeking to search warrants from Nova Scotia mass shooting. That would be because the RCMP and the Crown is actually, the Crown prosecutors are fighting tooth and nail to keep the media and the public from knowing what warrants there were. In a case that the assailant is dead. They did this in Quebec as well.
I should point out that Nova Scotians have responded to our tip line. Thank you to everyone who's called in and spoken with an investigator. I encourage anyone with information, regardless of whether or not you think that it's important or not, to please call the toll-free tip line and share what it is that you know.
Oh, Jesus, I wouldn't share shit with them. I'd share it with Frank Magazine. I'd share it with that other organization's paper. Where's the one where he talks about the girlfriend?
We've learned that the gunman was a collector of many things, including police memorabilia, and he was in possession of multiple pieces of police uniforms from a variety of agencies. Many witnesses interviewed have spoken of the gunman's interest in the RCMP, which dates back some time. We now know that on April 18th and 19th, the gunman wore parts of an authentic RCMP uniform, including a shirt and pants with a yellow stripe.
Pants with a yellow stripe. Pants with a yellow stripe. Pants with a yellow stripe. Let's see, pants with a yellow stripe. Pants with a yellow stripe. I noticed that yellow stripe, eh? Do you notice the yellow stripe? No yellow stripe. Don't know what pants you're talking about. Oh, it must be those brand new ones that you had on display. They were really snazzy looking too. Remember that? Not even dirty. They look pretty fine to me. Ooh, look at how nice and pleated those are. Clean. No fire, soot damage. No mud. No blood. No anything. Just nice and clean. And he's wearing them there in the video. Right? There he is wearing those yellow striped pants at 10:55. Or sorry, 10:25, as the RCMP are going to tell you. Oh, the clock is wrong. The clock's wrong. The pants are wrong. Everything is wrong. But you know what? We're not wrong. We didn't shoot up the fire hall. We didn't do anything wrong. We're superstars here. Durr.
We also know that he had changed clothing while he traveled between the communities. We've yet to confirm exactly where or how he obtained these uniform pieces.
Yeah, they're saying those are his pants.
This is an important aspect of
Like,
the investigation.
think about this. He started fires all over the fucking place. 7 structure fires. Was it 7 or 5? 5 structure fires? 5 structure fires. Cars burning up every which way from Sunday. Burning his own cars. Running around in the bush hunting Mr. Ellison. This is absolute bullshit. Here's a nice clean shirt for you, too. Never gets dirty. No, it looks, superstar clean. I don't know what cleaning service they're using.
Take some time. We do know that surplus police uniforms can be available.
Oh, they're not blind and they're not
through
dumb.
a variety of means, which include things like surplus stores, auctions, and online.
Oh, there's a nice clean shirts.
I'd like to address some issues in and around the police vehicle. We learned through our investigation that the government's collection of police memorabilia included that of police cars. This was widely known.
Except to them. This was widely known, as he just said, widely known, except to them. They didn't know about it. Right? Right? Let's have a look. Walker, RCMP, Workman. Nova Scotia gunman didn't hide his fake cruiser. Let's go along here. Blah, 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 blah. Some of the details were too good. Almost too good. Really? 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 But let's see. What is it? Where is it here? Walker. Let's find Walker. Walker. He created the car. And Walker says the police were apparently aware of what Workman was doing. Quote, He said that he had talked to the police. The funeral director said that they suggested to him, if he was going to take it to car shows, that he did not drive it on the road but take it on a trailer. Months beforehand. And it was widely known, except to them,
that he had cars or memorabilia from people that knew him. However, at this stage of the investigation, we have not uncovered any information that the police had knowledge that he had possessed these vehicles or that he possessed a replica police vehicle.
Sorry? He said that he had talked to the police. Wortman said to Mr. Walker that he had talked to police, that they suggested to him, if he was going to take it to car shows, that he not drive it on the road but take it on a trailer. Sorry, what did you say, sir?
The police memorabilia included that of police cars. This was widely known. He didn't hide that fact that he had cars or memorabilia from people that knew him. However, at this stage of the investigation, we have not uncovered any information that the police had knowledge that he had possessed these vehicles or that he had possessed a replica police vehicle.
Do you know, if it was one person coming out saying contradictory evidence, or there was one piece of contradictory evidence, I could believe what they're saying. When it's multiple things, multiple different people, even he admits everybody knew, not everybody, that's hyperbole, widely known, quote, widely known. How is it that they didn't know? But they did know. When did they know? Oh, that's right. Early in the evening, when they first responded, because the first victim who they came across, which was right away, 10:26, said, I was shot by somebody who drove a police car. And when did they tell the public that? Oh, that's right. Not until the next morning. Not until it was almost over. Meanwhile, he's on a rampage, burning people alive, shooting them. Yes, because he burned people alive. 9 people alive, apparently, according to them. But you're never going to see those autopsies, just like Tara isn't going to see her autopsy of her brother. Sorry, his autopsy. She's never going to see it. Never going to see it. Because they're going to bury it, just like they're trying to bury the warrants, just like they're trying to bury the whole thing. Now, if you can look at this with a detached mind, and probably my mind is far from detached at this point in time, but I've seen and read far too much. If you can look at this rationally, without any bias, and I want to argue in the police's favor, because the police are the ones who are supposed to protect us, so I really do. If you can look at this honestly and say, no, I don't see any deceptiveness. No, I don't see them working against the people. How many RCMP were his friends? Who knows? Who knows? 2 of his uncles were RCMP. 2. And if you go, one of them has his Facebook page up. I'm not going to dox him. You know, I'm not saying that they did anything wrong. I'm not saying the father did anything wrong. I'm not saying the wife did anything wrong. What I am saying is there is something most certainly wrong with this picture. But the uncle has nothing about, Stevenson's death. Very interesting. He's laying mighty low. And the other uncle is completely off the radar. I can't even find him.
Investigators have determined that all 4 police cars were former police models, and the gunman had acquired them through auctions within the past few years. With regard to the replicated police vehicle that he used on April 18th and 19th, we believe that he obtained that vehicle in the fall of 2019. And it was at that time that he outfitted it with the light bar and the decals. How he obtained these decals and how they were produced is an investigative detail that I can't get into, other than to say that we've made progress in this area of the investigation.
Let's go back to that other little article here about that. Where is it here? However, some details were almost too good. One of the mechanics said the mechanic is 2 mechanics who regularly work on RCMP vehicles. So one of the 2 mechanics, one mechanic who works on RCMP, said the detailing, cutting, and placement of the RCMP decals was letter perfect, suggesting Wortman had sought help from someone who regularly kitted out the forces vehicles. More inside garbage. Inside. It's a point that others who know policing have raised as well. Michael Arnfield, a former detective who now teaches criminology at Western University, wonders if a professional had assisted Wortman. These strike packages, as they are known, are laser measured. They're done by a third-party vendor who has all the specifics. What questions were asked as to why he was doing this? What was the purpose of this? Did he hold himself out to be a police officer when this was done? These are questions I think that should be asked sooner rather than later. People asking a lot of questions, RCMP doing a lot of obfuscating and bullshitting. Bullshitting!
Alors, uniforme.
Moving along.
Has been established through the efforts of our investigative teams. At this point in our investigation,
Look at that photo. I'll show you this photo. How crisp and clear it is that you can know most certainly that that has to be Wortman. This is the proof. The proof that Mr. Wortman was driving there. Where's that fucking photo? Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Oh, I'm surprised I don't have the... I must have that somewhere. There it is. Where's this photo open? Wow. I certainly know that I can see Wortman. I know that's Wortman. Don't you? Don't you? Can't you tell that's Wortman? Or is it another RCMP cruiser who's looking for Wortman, driving to the scene? Could it be even, who knows? You could have anything with, it could be a roof rack. It more than likely is light bar. But, you can't tell. Is this their proof? This is their proof coming from people who have, when you tell a lie in court, I'm always just a legal mind, right? When you tell a lie once in court, everything you say is suspect. Every single thing. You're going to tell me that's Wortman? How the fuck do you know?
This is what we believe. If I can get you to refer to the first image. So after receiving the first 911 call, just after 10 o'clock, officers arrived in the Portapique area around 10:26 in the evening. This information gathered since the incidents occurred lead us to believe that the gunman had actually left the Portapique area through a field at approximately 10:35. So if you note there on the image that I provided.
So you can actually go through and trace what time this all started. It had started about 10 o'clock, apparently. Apparently? I could be wrong, but I don't have those articles at hand right now. But it all started around 10 o'clock. That was when the first phone call started coming in. Also, so they're going to say that he lit 3 houses on fire, 3 vehicles on fire, killed 13 people, and left through a field in half an hour. He's got some powers, I'll tell you.
There was a witness that saw a vehicle that was traveling through a field, which was not very common. And what we've done is we've actually been able to determine through video evidence that the gunman had actually traveled a distance of approximately 26 kilometers, where he actually entered into an area in Debert, which is an industrial area. He arrived at that location at 11:12 in the evening. So great interest to us what the suspect or the gunman had done at that location. But we do know that he spent the evening there. We've searched that area thoroughly, but we are making a plea to anyone in that area, if they had seen anything suspicious, to please contact the police. We've obtained video evidence that shows that the suspect had left the area at 5:43 in the morning.
I don't know how he's getting out.
Traveling northbound on Highway 4 on his way to Wentworth.
Trees,
That distance
4x4
44 kilometers.
through a field.
Other video evidence obtained shows that the
through trees.
mock police vehicle
Unbelievable.
was driving by a residence very close.
Only one way
Where
out.
the gunman had actually killed 2 males and a female, and that happened at 6:29 in the morning. Video evidence also shows that the
Maybe, but I'm just I'm just going with the.
at 9:23. We believe that the victim.
Now, where is it that he talks about the girlfriend?
Killed shortly after the gunman arrived, more than 3 hours before that time. And it was near that time that the gunman had actually set fire to the residence. And it's established by the video in the area.
I'm not even going to go through the third cluster, which is we've kind of gone through quite a bit, which is
injured. So, for example,
absolute
last Friday I had mentioned
bullshit.
that there was a male and a female who were driving in a vehicle leaving the Portapique area, and when the gunman had pulled up beside them, he fired into that vehicle. That individual was injured. He was wounded.
Sorry, what was that?
I'm talking about those who were wounded, like Constable Morrison.
Sorry.
Thank you. I should maybe stop for a second and just clarify that when I say victims, I'm talking about individuals who were injured, either killed or injured. So, for example, last Friday I had mentioned that there was a male and a female who were driving in a vehicle leaving the Portapique area, and when the gunman had pulled up beside them, he fired into that vehicle. That individual was injured. He was wounded. So I'm talking about those who were wounded, like Constable Morrison, as well. So they're included in those numbers.
Listening to the press's questions is pretty good.
So we were wondering about the
Found at the shooter's apartment.
an independent body that I had answered a question last Friday with respect to the origin of some of the weapons that we're looking at. We are.
He's not looking at it. He's not looking at it. RCMP is not looking at it. CERT is looking at it.
Please press *1 at this
time, if you have a question, s'il vous plaît, appuyez sur les étoiles.
I'm gonna have to go and find that girlfriend thing and clip it out.
La première question, the first question is from Kage.
He's very pointed about it. It's strange.
National News. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hello, Superintendent. Thank you for this information today. I want to ask you about why your officers were on the road during this course of events alone. It seems that certainly by the time Constable Stevenson and Morris
No, they won't
were
tell you,
planning to
Diane.
meet up, you had some clear idea of what you were potentially facing here. So we're wondering why your officers had not doubled up or partnered up at this time.
Okay, well, thanks for your question.
That's a
what I can tell you
softball.
is that all of our officers weren't alone. We do have.
Why did you not inform the
some
public?
of our, police vehicles which have single
You informed
officers within them,
Halifax
and then we
with
have
PD.
others that would have what we would call a two-person car. I can also confirm that there were several other resources in the area where there were more than one tactical resource in vehicles as well. Often what happens in situations like this is that our Operations Communication Center is coordinating with the Critical Incident Commander.
Oh my God, you can't coordinate your ass from a hole in the wall.
We'll also set up perimeters in the area, so all those officers that were out there were needed within certain areas. But again, as I said,
Yes, there were
all of our
3
units
people, I
were
think,
manned by one police
wounded.
officer.
I'm also wondering what you can tell me about the role of the CBSA that you mentioned at the beginning of your comment.
Interesting.
So I can't get into exactly what their role is. I mean, I think that I had answered a question last Friday with respect to the origin of some of the weapons that we're looking at. We are looking at origins from within this country and also outside of the country. So, of course, obviously, for anything that would deal with anything that came in from another country, we would require the cooperation and assistance, and we would have to work collaboratively with CBSA on that front.
Most all guns come out of the United States or are foreign guns, right? Canada's not a huge producer of weapons.
Thank you. The next question, la question suivante, is from Shina Leck with CBC News. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Good afternoon, Superintendent.
Yes, sister.
You said that a full
Absolutely.
review is done after every critical incident. I'm wondering, what can you tell us about who's conducting this review? Is there
CERT?
anyone external to the RCMP playing a role there, or will it eventually be handed over to anyone else?
Okay. So, I mean, there's always a possibility that external review. So, for example, a critical incident that involves serious injury or death of one of our officers, ESTC will do an independent investigation of that. As I mentioned before, as well, when there's a police involved, serious injury or death to an individual, there's an independent body that will come in. In this case, in Nova Scotia, it's CERT. They will also do an independent investigation.
Okay, so let's have a look at weather or Leather talking about that. Because he's just farming it off that it's because of a shooting on a police officer, which it's not. Where is it?
There is an active investigation, as I already noted, being conducted by the Serious Incident and Response Team, that's CERT. So we're not able to provide any further details to some portions of the investigation.
But it has to do with the weapons. Where's the weapons part? Did I clip that out?
Anytime there is death or injury that occurs, a member of the public in this case, as I noted in my
I didn't clip it out.
Points, the threat was ended and
Shit.
The lone suspect has that part of the investigation has now been turned over to CERT for investigation because our officers were involved in terminating the threat.
That makes sense, but see, it's just like the non-stop BSing.
Did the suspect have a history of violence or pre-committed opinions of any kind?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, he didn't have a history of violence. No, he's just had conviction for assault. You know, no big deal here. 1 point, he was armed. That's a strange answer too. Bodies after responding to the call. See, they knew right away.
Last night, following multiple 911 calls, Nova Scotia RCMP members responded to a firearms call to a Portapique residence in Colchester County. When police arrived at the scene, members located several casualties inside and outside of the home.
Man, it's too bad I don't have that other piece clipped out about how he says the weapons. He can't answer anything about the weapons because CERT has taken it over. CERT, which only deals with police matters, police on civilian. Why is CERT investigating Wortman's weapons, who is a civilian? Or is it, again, RCMP weapons involved?
Of those circumstances surrounding that event. Specific to critical incidents, we debrief all critical incidents in the RCMP. The critical incident commanders will do a debriefing post the critical incident, as well as the psychological debriefings that are done. Any major event in the RCMP that unfolds where there's questions asked, I can guarantee you this organization is very alive to and actually exercises internal reviews, and then at times, if it's warranted, external reviews will be done as well. There's been some talk about, and I've noticed this in the media, I've been following it as well. People are calling for inquiries. That is another form.
Maybe they're watching over here. I think they are actually.
These mechanisms can take place to look at exactly what happened and to determine exactly what roles every person played, the decisions that were made, and other things like that.
Thank you. And secondly, can you tell us what, if anything, have you found at the shooter's Dartmouth properties, his home and his business?
Well, I can confirm that we've searched his home and business in the Dartmouth area. I'm not going to get into specifics, but it does appear that the gunman had, I wouldn't say vacated the property, but he had left the Dartmouth area for a period of time, and it appeared as if he was mainly using the Portapique residence as his permanent address or his more frequented address at that time. But I can't get into specifics in terms of what we found.
What about the guns and weapons that article that we were looking at the beginning indicated? I guess he didn't want to talk about that one. Didn't want to talk about that one? At the in Dartmouth? The guns and ammunition?
Thank you. La question suivante. The next question is from Todd Davis of CTV News. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi, Superintendent, and thank you for your time. I'm wondering if you can tell us whether investigators have had the opportunity to talk to the victim of that initial assault and what that person has been able to supply RCP in terms of the investigation.
Yes, I can confirm that we have had the opportunity. In fact, we've had a number of opportunities to interview that critical witness. We intend on conducting further interviews. I'm sure that you would appreciate that given the closeness that that individual had to the gunman. She is a critical witness, and it will take some time. We are going to spend our time with her. We want to understand everything that she knows. And again, like any witness, sometimes the pieces of information that individuals think are too small. Well, our intention is to be able to get every piece of information from her so that will assist us on our investigation.
That girlfriend, common law
Just to
wife.
follow up, if I may, anyone in the United States?
I can confirm that we have, yes.
That would be Michigan
Thank you. La question suivante.
and
the next
Massachusetts, I
question
think.
is from Stuart Peddle with the Chronicle Herald. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
So we were wondering about the explosions that witnesses had reported, and we'd heard rumors that they may have been armed with grenades. I wonder if you can explain or provide information about whether he had explosives.
So what I can tell you is, unfortunately, given the state of the gunman's residence, our ability to
Is it kind of like this one? Where is it? This state of residence? Where is that picture? Oh yeah, this one. Like the corrections officers? My computer needs a reboot. It's not happy. I'm getting the toilet bowl flushing. Is this kind of state of residence where you're going in wrecking them with a backhoe before you can do any crime scene analysis? You're still putting out the fire and you're wrecking it with a backhoe? This is residence, of course. The two corrections officers burned to death. Supposedly, they definitely were in the residence when the house was lit on fire, and you're going through and destroying the crime scene with a backhoe. I have other pictures where like the backhoe is like literally into the foundation of the building, scooping everything out, and there's a guy with a fire hose still putting the fire out. Real great crime scene investigation going on there. So I'm thinking maybe Wortman's property was like that too. Just completely destroyed. We can't answer that because it was we went in there with a backhoe.
fully understand all the evidence from that location is limited due to the damage. But we have obtained statements from individuals that knew the gunman, and there is information that is consistent with part of your question. In terms of explosion, some of our witness statements indicate that the gunman had purchased some ammunition or had possessed a significant amount of ammunition. And as those residences are burning, some of that ammunition was more than likely igniting and potentially exploding. So that could be one of the reasons. I mean, a full investigation into the actual arson of those residences is underway, and we'll understand more as that analysis is done and the reports are finalized.
My second question would be to follow up on previous caller. You mentioned you had spoken with somebody in the U.S., but you didn't go any further than that. Could you clarify or expand on that?
No.
I can't expand on that right now. It's part of the active and ongoing investigation, and it's a piece that right now, unfortunately, I can't share with you.
You can't share anything. You're going to fight in court.
The next question is from Brian Hill with Global News National. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous. I'm sorry, Mr. Hill. We're unable to hear you this time. If you have a question, please go ahead. Your line is open. Unfortunately, we are unable to hear you. Hearing no response, we will move on to the next questioner, which is Michael Dutton from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Good afternoon, Inspector. Can you please describe any prior history of domestic abuse by Mr. Wortman?
Okay, maybe this is where he talks about
or his partner. Whether you uncovered any prior and how extensive it was.
So as I've mentioned, we're speaking to everybody that knows the gunman, and of course we're not just focusing on the events of April 18th and 19th. We're obviously working backwards from that, and we have spoken to witnesses who have provided information to us about prior assaults. Those are all things that we are dealing with right now, and as I mentioned in previous question, the common law spouse of the gunman. Those are items that we're working through with her right now to have a better understanding of that.
And I'm going to ask a follow-up question, but please clarify if you mean domestic assault. And in addition, can you tell me what evidence, if any, there was from the investigation that perhaps misogyny or hatred of women was involved in his targeting of women during his rampage?
So what I can tell you is that I'm not aware personally of any information that has come in to the investigative team specific to misogyny or hatred towards women. But I think what I could probably do, and I'm certainly not downplaying the fact that several women had died through the course of this tragic series of events. But 11 men died and 14 women. Far too many people had died, but it doesn't appear in terms of
At least we don't get
what
that.
I've seen that he was purposefully targeting women. It appeared as if he was just targeting individuals that either he knew or individuals for whatever reason that I don't think any of us will ever understand or comprehend, that when he came across those individuals, that he killed them. It's completely senseless, but I can confirm, those numbers in terms of 11 men and 14 women.
Thank you.
I should maybe stop for a second and just clarify that.
There we got some
When I say victims, I'm talking about individuals.
better front end damage there on that.
Injured. It's completely senseless, but I can confirm, those numbers in terms of 11 men and 14 women.
When they get close up here on the cars, you can see that there's quite a bit of front end damage there on the one cruiser.
Thank you.
I should maybe stop
And
for
there
a second.
seems to be a little bit on the other one.
When I say victims, I'm talking about individuals who were injured, either killed or injured. So, for example, last Friday I had mentioned that there was a male and a female who were driving in a vehicle leaving the Portapique area, and when the gunman had pulled up beside them, he fired into that vehicle. That individual was injured. He was wounded. So I'm talking about those who were wounded, like Constable Morrison, as well. So they're included in those numbers. And if it makes any difference to anyone, I can also confirm that the government not only killed people or shot at people, but he also
there seems to be
animals and pets that were at the residences or either wounded them.
Yeah, the common law who doesn't live at the same residence
The next question is from
is the one who hid out in the woods.
with Global
Weird.
News. Please go ahead. La parole à vous. Hi there. Apologies for getting disconnected earlier. I'm just wondering if there's any more details you can provide us in terms of those individuals who were targeted, that the suspect or the gunman knew.
No.
Specifically, why he targeted them. We know there's a history of property disputes, so we're wondering if you have any more information on the specific reasons why individuals were targeted.
So I don't have access to the finer details of that.
Why does the person who is giving a press conference and should know all of this information not have access to it? Is that not odd? I don't have access to it. What do you have access to?
Confirm with you that there was certainly a fairly sizable amount of information that there were individuals who had a number of disputes with the gunman over a certain period of time, and it appears to be a lengthy period of time. That included everything from associates to business partners to family members. I can't really provide much detail right now. We're trying to understand that. our investigators are trying to trace back to determine whether or not there was any motivation, but it just appears as if it was completely senseless.
You heard he used grenades?
Of very violent acts, and we're trying to understand that as best as we can.
Yeah, he can't. Yeah, he's very
And just as a follow-up,
sketchy.
There's been a lot of talk about the
Ozzy.
emergency alert system and the fact that it wasn't utilized by the RCMP.
Oh my God, this.
People have criticized the fact that it wasn't used. I'm just wondering, are there any protocols in place that tell RCMP officers in Nova Scotia when they should request that an emergency alert be issued? And if no protocols are in place, what are you doing to remedy that now?
Okay, thanks for that question. What I can tell you is that, as I had mentioned last Friday, I've been a police officer for almost 30 years. I have myself never witnessed or been a part of a critical incident where the emergency alert system was used. But what I can tell you is that we're certainly very aware of that issue, and we're conducting a full review of that system, and we're in conversations.
You mean your failure, your complete
province, but also
and utter failure?
The Association of Chiefs of Police on that particular issue.
Even according to the Premier of Nova Scotia?
Thank you. La question suivante. The next question is from Paul Vieira with the Wall Street Journal. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi. Good afternoon. I want to be clear on something. You said, or at least I thought I heard, that the suspect may have left Port-a-Peak driving through the woods. Did I hear correctly? Is that how he was able to avoid law enforcement? Is it estimated that he left?
He went through a field
before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our Operational Communications Center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believed at the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's a
vehicle.
Approximately a 9-minute.
So could it be Could it be a truck? Somebody who has a truck driving through a field? A vehicle. That just sounds like a, not to be use the pun, but cop out.
Period of time. We're talking about.
It is from Greg Mercer with the Global Mail.
Oh, what happened there? What happened there? What happened there? What happened there? Whoa. Something got cut. 48. Did you guys notice that? $4.49 on the screen.
Approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about.
Yep. They cut something out of this one. You guys notice it? CBC cut something else. 48:31. Back it up. Watch for it.
10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about.
It is from Greg Mercer with the Global Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Okay, now you got my spidey senses going. This is the 28th, right? CPAC might have the full version. Let's see. Let's try CPAC. I don't know if I have this version on my computer. CPAC. RCMP. Is this it? No, that's the 24th. 28th. Here we go. 28th. This one's shorter.
Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Corporal Jennifer Clark, spokesperson
107.
for Nova Scotia RCMP, and I will be your moderator for
102.
this
5
conference.
minutes missing out of this one.
Bonjour et bienvenue. Je suis la caporale
Let's go to
Jennifer
48,
Clark, porte-parole de la
31.
GRC en Nouvelle-Écosse, et je serai votre modérateur.
4831. Is that right?
Had died through the course of this tragic series of events.
Thank you. La question suivante, the next question is from Paul Vieira with the Wall Street Journal. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous. Hi. Good afternoon. I want to be clear on something. You said, or at least I thought I heard, that the suspect may have left Port-au-Peak driving through the woods. Did I hear correctly? Is that how he was able to avoid law enforcement? Is it estimated that he left the Port-au-Peak area before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our Operational Communication Center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believed at the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about a 4-kilometer area. As I mentioned last Friday, there were several victims and several structure fires at that time. But it's our belief, based on the distance that the gunman had traveled to the Debert area, as well as the timestamp of the video that we've obtained, that he definitely would have left that area at that time. That would be, certainly our understanding of the sequence of timing and the events that unfolded.
Okay, whoa, I'm lost here. How much is missing there? Fuck, do I have a copy of this? If I don't have a copy of this one, I'm going to be really upset. The 28th. The copy I have has been cut too. Shit. This is not good. Let's go back.
Records that we have through our Operational Communication Center. It shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believed at the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about.
It is from Greg Mercer.
We're talking about.
That's how he was able to avoid law enforcement. Is it estimated that he left the Port-au-Peak area before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our Operational Communication Center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believe that the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about a 4-kilometer area. As I mentioned last Friday, there were several victims and several structure fires at that time. But it's our belief, based on the distance that the gunman had traveled to the Debert area, as well as the timestamp of the video that we've obtained, that he definitely would have left that area at that time. That would be, certainly our understanding of the sequence of timing in the events.
I want to be clear on something. You said, or at least I thought I heard, that the suspect may have left Port-à-Pique driving through the woods. Did I hear correctly? Is that how he was able to avoid law enforcement? Is it estimated that he left the Port-à-Pique area before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our operational communication center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believed that the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about
is from Greg Mercer with a global.
Okay, so I don't know what you guys are picking up on, but they cut out the part where they say we believe that, yes, he left during that time on CBC. There's something in there. There's something in there. The 4-kilometer radius. We believe that he left during this time. The structure fires. I'll have to look into that probably a little bit more on my own. But are you guys picking up something that you think that they'd want to delete out of there? The fact that they say that we believe that he left during this time. Maybe they don't want that on the record because they know that he didn't. Yeah, I'll ask Adrian. I don't know. Did I stream this one live? Was this the one where I streamed one of them live? I can't remember which one it was I did. And then there was all the errors at the end of it. And it was on CBC, and then I switched over to CPAC and got the rest of it. Do you remember that? The stuttering? Doop, 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 doop. He talked about another timestamp videos they don't want to share. Oh. I thought it was just the Debert timestamp. Is that right?
That's how he was able to avoid law enforcement. Is it estimated that he left the Port-à-Pique area before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our operational communication center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening. And since that time...
Oh, what happened?
Good evening, I'm
Back
Adrian.
off. 48. Okay. That's
Since that time, we've obtained a statement from an area resident that believed at the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about a 4-kilometer area. As I mentioned last Friday, there were several victims and several structure fires at that time. But it's our belief, based on the distance that the gunman had traveled to the Debert area, as well as the timestamp of the video that we've obtained, that he definitely would have left that area at that time. That would be, certainly our understanding of the sequence of timing and the events that unfolded.
I think I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Why is he smiling?
Thank you. The next question, la question suivante, is from Greg Mercer with the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Thank you. This question is about the investigation into whether or not the gunman received help in the lead up to these crimes. Are your investigators interviewing former RCMP officers about their relationship with the gunman?
Okay, let's see if that's... What's the next question that they have?
Period of time. We're talking about...
Is from Greg Mercer with the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Thank you. This question is about the investigation into whether or not the gunman received help in the lead up to these crimes. Are your investigators interviewing former RCMP officers about their relationship with the gunman?
Well, a timestamp on the video.
It's my understanding that the gunman was related to retired RCMP officers, and we've interviewed those officers, and we're continuing the investigation. But at this time, what I'll confirm is that there's no indication that a former member of the RCMP provided assistance to the gunman or had provided them with any police equipment.
Thank you. The next question, la question suivante, is from Alexa McLean with Global News. La parole est à vous.
Good afternoon, thank you. I'm just curious if RCMP...
No timestamp on that picture.
...that were used by the gunman, and if he had a firearms license outside of Canada.
There isn't a timestamp on it.
We know that there may be some questions.
I think this car's going the wrong direction.
Did they come from the black market primarily? Just looking for an update here on the weapons used.
So in terms of the weapons used, I can't get into the details about those weapons outside of the fact that...
That's because it's in CERT's
I
hands.
stated on Friday that the gunman was in possession of several semi-automatic handguns and 2 semi-automatic rifles. In terms of the caliber of those, I can't get into those details because the investigation is still active and ongoing. And you'd have to appreciate as well is that we need to be able to, as best as we can, associate those weapons through the ammunition used to the actual victims. So those efforts are ongoing. That was the first part of your question. The second part of your question was in regards to the United States or firearms acquisition certificates. Again, that's part of the active investigation, so unfortunately I can't provide you with any further details about that piece.
And just a quick follow-up, looking at the photos that were provided, there is 2 photos from the boat that are fairly dark, and through this briefing we now know that the gunman spent the night in Debert, so several hours between 11:30 p.m. and 5 a.m. in an industrial area. Just wondering why police weren't able to track him there, and what you've learned about this specific area that he stayed in, if these photos are of where he stayed in Debert for the night.
So those photos are where he stayed in Debert that evening, and you'll notice that those photos are both very grainy and they're very dark. It's because those photos were obtained when it was dark outside. So just after 11 in the evening and just before 6 o'clock in the morning. That area is
very grainy, very dark. Very grainy, very dark, very nondescript. Very probable not Wortman. Fuck.
built-up area. It's more of an industrial area. It's dark. What I can say is that that was an area that I would say the gunman probably had some area knowledge of. In terms of tracking the gunman, we don't know exactly what he did while he was there. We don't know exactly where he secreted himself or that police car or that replica police car.
Secreted.
Those are all parts of the investigation that we're still trying to uncover, and that's why
this is honestly the level of
individual
education we've got.
with any information if
Secreted.
they saw something suspicious or they know something.
Thank you. The next question, la question suivante, is from Victoria Walton with The Coast. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. A lot of them have already been answered, but I am still wondering kind of about those key locations that the gunman went to. You mentioned, I believe, he went to a location in Wentworth twice, and we know that he was kind of observing and things like that. And can you just talk about why he may have gone to some locations more than once, as well as spent more time in locations and then traveled more quickly through others?
So I'm going to need you to clarify part of your question when you said that, information about the gunman observing certain locations. If there's something specific about that I'd like to hear about it. Is there anything that you can add so that maybe I can fully answer your question?
What you know. Why is he fishing the reporter for details? This is a strange thing to do.
Next question, la question suivante, is from Victoria Walton with The Coast. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. A lot of them have already been answered, but I am still wondering kind of about those key locations that the gunman went to. You mentioned, I believe, he went to a location in Wentworth twice, and we know that he was kind of observing and things like that. And can you just talk about why he may have gone to some locations more than once, as well as spent more time in locations and then traveled more quickly through others?
So I'm going to need you to clarify part of your question when you said that, information about the gunman observing certain locations. If there's something specific about that I'd like to hear about it.
That you know.
Is there anything that you can add so that maybe I can fully answer your question?
No, sorry. I just thought you had said on Highway 4, I believe it was, when he was in Wentworth, that he had drove by one location that he then returned to later.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's not a problem. Now I understand what you're asking. So when he traveled to the Wentworth area, it's our belief that the victims of the murder of the 2 men and 1 woman and the house fire, they were known, or at least the couple that lived at that residence were known to the gunman. That first image that is on that slide is an image from a house nearby that had a video surveillance system, and I believe that it shows the gunman passing by towards that residence where that offense occurred at around 6:30 in the morning. The second video surveillance photo that you see is approximately 3 hours later. That's from the same residence, capturing the vehicle leaving that area. As I indicated before, it's our belief that the gunman went to the victim's residence. We believe that the gunman took the lives of those individuals shortly after arriving. However, we believe that the gunman more than likely had stayed in that residence for a period of time before setting on fire and then leaving southbound on Highway 4 from that location.
Thank you, and thank you for the clarification.
Thank you. The next question, la question suivante, est de Héloïse Rodriguez de Radio-Canada. Please go ahead, la parole est à vous.
Bonjour, est-ce que vous pouvez nous dire si à ce moment-ci le bilan des victimes est final ou si on s'attend à ce qu'il continue d'augmenter et combien de victimes sont mortes par balle et combien sont mortes dans les flammes?
Well, this is this weird part where they have problems.
Oui. Pouvez-vous nous dire si le bilan
Can
des
you
victimes
tell us
est final
whether
et combien de
the
personnes sont
toll
mortes
of
par
the
balle
victims
et
is
combien sont
final
mortes dans les feux?
and how many victims died because of fire?
Now, he'd already answered this question. They have to go through and count it. He'd answered this in English, though. 9 by fire, 13 by bullet.
Nous savons que 9 personnes ont été
We know that 9 individuals were killed by fire and the others by gunshot wounds. Is that the final toll of victims, or are you expecting to find more victims?
Why do they have to ask about that one?
No.
Doesn't she know?
We know there are no other victims.
What, is there going to be suddenly people popping out of the woodwork, dying? Weird.
Thank you. And in light of this new information, what can you tell us about the relationship between the gunman and the first woman who was assaulted? Do we have more details about their relationship?
This stuff is weird. The common law. Hiding out in the woods.
Parlez-vous de son petit ami?
Are you talking about his girlfriend?
Okay.
Yes.
Well, who the hell else are they talking about?
Can you clarify if they were still together or what the nature of their relationship was so that we have a little more information about that?
Ils étaient des voisins.
They were neighbors.
Okay, so see, this is where the common law girlfriend, common law, I guess what you call it, spouse, wife, doesn't live together with Wortman, but they're neighbors. And they go to the party together, and he then assaults her, and then he handcuffs her, starts the house on fire. She runs away with a phone, I'm guessing, to phone 911 in the morning at 9 o'clock or whenever the fuck it was that she phoned, or 6:30, 7:30, 8:30, somewhere. But she doesn't live with him, but they're neighbors, but they're common law. Weird. How are you common law and don't live together?
Juste une autre question, s'il vous plaît. One more question, please.
Thank you. The next question is from Charles Hatch with Canada's National Firearms Association. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Hello, Superintendent. Thank you.
And she worked for him. That's right.
My question. Many of my questions have already been answered by the previous reporters. I do have an outstanding question, which is, was the murderer in possession of a so-called military-style assault rifle?
What I can say is that there was what would be considered a weapon that could be described that way, but I don't want to get into those details because, as you may know, as we move through the investigation, we talk to witnesses, establishing the credibility and the weight of the information that they provide to us. is very important, and we do that through them providing us details that are not widely known by many, and that's why we can't disclose those details.
Why can't you disclose those details? I'm sorry. Is he dead? Is he dead? Are you putting him on trial? No? No. And you do know what kind of guns you recovered? Both at Dartmouth, apparently, at the denture clinic, at this other location, which is totally new. I don't know where the hell that's supposed to be. It's a new place. It's not a place he owned, a place that I'm aware of. And then all of the guns in the car, etc. So why can't you say what kind of guns he has? He's dead. You're not putting him on trial. What the fuck are they doing?
Right now.
Unless it's one of their guns.
Can you say whether or not that so-called military-style assault rifle was actually used in the rampage?
Well, I can't at this point at all talk to you about too many of the weapons. I do know that
that's because CERT
did describe seeing the gunman carrying a long-barreled weapon, and I can also say that of course, gunman carrying a long.
And then you get all the problems here.
And I can also say that.
Yeah, this was the one I streamed.
Gunman carrying a long.
It's like.
We believe that the gunman took the lives of those individuals shortly after arriving. However, we believe that the gunman more than likely had stayed in that residence for a period of time before setting on fire and then leaving southbound on Highway 4.
Military-style assault rifle.
What I can say is that there was what would be considered a weapon that could be described that way, but I don't want to get into those details because, as you may know, as we move through the investigation, we talk to witnesses, establishing the credibility and the weight of the information that they provide to us is very important, and we do that through them providing us details that are not widely known by many, and that's why we can't disclose those details right now.
Okay, fair enough. Can you say whether or not that so-called military-style assault rifle was actually used in the rampage?
Well, I can't at this point at all talk to you about too many of the weapons. I do know that witnesses did describe seeing the gunman carrying a long-barreled weapon, and I can also say that of course, Constable Morrison, as well as the other surviving gunshot wound victim that was leaving the Portapique area, described that the gunman had shot them with a handgun.
Very good.
Shot him with a handgun.
The gunman carrying a long-barreled weapon, and I can also say that of course, Constable Morrison, as well as the other surviving gunshot wound victim that was leaving the Portapique area, described that the gunman had shot them with a handgun.
Oh, so it's a drive-by shooting on Morrison with a handgun. Interesting.
Very good. Thank you for taking my question.
In both arms.
This concludes our press conference. Ceci conclut la conférence de presse. Merci pour votre présence. Thank you for attending.
Well, I'm going to probably wrap it up. I've got to dig into a little bit more about one of the locations in Guibert and try and chase down where it is. But the girlfriend is sketchy. Sketchy, sketchy, sketchy. That clip now is that they've clipped out has got me curious. Why did they clip it out? I wonder if, yeah, because if I go back on this, let's just see, because I was streaming that, right? Let's see if the original, if they didn't clip it in that one. Well, they wouldn't have. It was live. So why did they clip it? That's after the fact. Let's see, where was that? Was that this one? No, here, this one.
Toodles. Units were manned by one.
It's going to take me a while, I think, to find it.
Photos were obtained when it was dark outside, so just after 11 in the evening and just before 6 o'clock in the morning. That area is it's not a very built-up area. It's more of an industrial area. It's dark. What I can say is that that was an area.
For an update here on the weapons used.
So in terms of the weapons used, I can't get into the details about those. That would be, certainly our understanding of the sequence of timing and the events that unfolded.
And if no protocols are in place, what are you doing to remedy that now?
Okay, thanks for that question. What I can tell you is that, as I had mentioned last Friday, I've been a police officer for almost 30 years.
I don't remember where it was now.
Myself, never
later?
witnessed or been a part of it.
Get off the emotional tugging, please.
Thank you. Like I said, the next question is from Brian Hill.
Women and dogs.
Global News. Please go ahead. Hi there. Apologies for getting disconnected earlier. I'm just wondering if there's any more details you can provide us in terms of those individuals who were targeted that the suspect or the gunman knew, specifically why he targeted them. We know there's a history of property disputes, so we're wondering if you have any more information on the specific reasons why individuals were targeted.
So I don't have access to the finer details of that. I'll agree and confirm with you that there was certainly a fairly sizable amount of information that there were individuals who had a number of. What I'll confirm is that it's my understanding that the gunman was related to. What I'll confirm is that it's my understanding that the gunman was related to retired RCMP officers, and we've interviewed those officers, but also the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police on that particular issue.
What?
Thank you. Like I said, the next question is from Paul Vieira with the Wall Street Journal. Please go ahead. Hi. Good afternoon. I want to be clear on something. You said, or at least I thought I heard, that the suspect may have left Porta Peak driving through the woods. Did I hear correctly? Is that how he was able to avoid law enforcement? Is it estimated that he left the Porta Peak area before police arrived?
Well, I would say that based on the call detail records that we have through our Operational Communication Center, it shows our first unit arriving on the scene at 10:26 in the evening.
Ooh.
And since that
Did he
time,
say 11 and 14?
A statement from an area resident that believed at the time that they saw a vehicle moving through a field was at around 10:35. So there's approximately a 9-minute period of time. We're talking about a 4-kilometer area, as I mentioned last.
So there we go.
There were
CBC clipped it again. This was their feed live. That's the CPAC one. And this one says streamed live. So they went back using YouTube editor once again and clipped that piece out. There's something in there. Something in there. And maybe you guys don't understand what I'm talking about, but the Clinton Ellison one is really clear, right? Because he's talking negatively about the RCMP. There's something there that they didn't want out, I'm suspecting. Because why would you go back and clip it? I mean, they're going to leave this junk on the screen. They're going to leave this junk on the screen. Repeated, boo, 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 boo. They don't clip that out, but they clip out the 4-kilometer business, and we believe that he escaped during this time, and I'm going to have to sleep on it. Anyways, thanks very much, everybody, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Once again, maybe I'll have some good gold for you, and if tomorrow, hopefully you guys can keep sending me some stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I appreciate all your help. Thank you, and God bless you all. And if you can donate to Tara, that'd be super. I know I keep repeating. I don't mean to sound like Peter Repeater, but maybe there's some new people in here. The links are, I'll put them in below. And also, I'll put in the other guys who are helping super hard, Steve LTT, and I don't know why I always get that wrong. It's like Shuby. Adrian over at Just My Stupid Opinion, and Rage in the Cage. God bless everybody. Have a good evening.